Current geopolitical tensions in the Middle East are currently posing the greatest threats to regional stability and global economic security. And to discuss further on this, we have ready on the line is Dr. Shankaran Nambiar, Head of Research MIER. I want to say thank you very much, Dr. Nambiar, for joining us. Firstly, to what extent do geopolitical tensions in the Middle East impact cross-border trade and supply chain operation, particularly in key industries such as oil and gas, manufacturing, and even one of the biggest sector within the S&P 500, it's the technology?
I think given the sensitivity of the Middle East and the fact that you just had the unresolved Israel-Gaza conflict, that has been compounded by the Iran-Israel conflict, which, however, seems to be contained at this point. And this is in addition to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, which hasn't quite been resolved yet. You could see an exacerbation of what's going on there, depending on how the conflict rolls out and how the US responds. So given all these overlapping concerns, and given the fact that the Middle East is a particularly sensitive point, I think the kind of impact you would have on the global economy and on what therefore happens to Malaysia could be significant. A matter of immediate of pressing concern is, of course, what happens to the price of oil. And not just the price of oil, although that is a particularly sticking point. There is, of course, the Strait of Hormuz, and there is a possibility that the strait could be restricted, constricted. And if that happens, then you have higher travel costs. Ships would have to take a longer route, which would add to the cost of logistics. So you have a whole complex of issues arising, and two in particular. One is the price of oil, which, if tensions escalate, could see the price of could see a super hike in the price of oils, reaching perhaps 120 US dollars per barrel. So it is of course a significant threat.
As you mentioned, the heavy potential risk from the geopolitical event could cause the pressure on the oil and gas, and even the pressure on the cost of the logistics. Then how do geopolitical risks intersect with other macroeconomic factors, such as the monetary policy, fiscal policy, and technological innovation? And what are the implications for policymakers in managing all of these complex interactions?
You're absolutely right, Nina. I mean, it's really a very complex landscape that we have to navigate. That there is, you have the kind of implications that would arise, that would probably put in place inflationary pressures. You also have to take into account what the US, what the Fed might or might not do. We were counting on rate cuts from the US, and in the event of the price of oil going up, you might not see these rate cuts. With inflationary pressures, the Fed might be tempted to keep the rates at where it is, perhaps even raise them, and that's not going to be a good thing for us. And then, of course, you also have the role of technology, in particular AI, and there would be jobs being created, yes, but you also have the possibility of job losses in certain sectors. So yes, absolutely right. You have a whole complex of issues coming up, and I think it needs a great deal of agility. It needs a great deal of caution in being able to navigate these risks. And of course, I mean, you have at your disposal the right kind of monetary policy measures to put in place, as well as fiscal policy measures that could be put in place. Some of these effects we probably could anticipate. For instance, we could easily see that all of these tensions could result in inflationary pressures in the price of goods, of commodities in the country going up. We saw it happening with the Russia-Ukraine crisis. You could see something similar rolling out in the months ahead should there be an escalation of conflict in the Middle East.
And we can also, the conflict about the Middle East has also been highlighted and been addressed within the platform of the World Economic Forum. And Dr. Nambiar, in what ways that WEF in Riyadh can leverage its platform to even foster dialogue, cooperation and even innovative solutions among the key stakeholders to address the interconnected challenges posed by geopolitical risks and ensure sustainable economic development?
I think one of the key issues that will be discussed at WEF is how you would handle security and cooperation amidst an increasingly complicated global economy and with all these geopolitical tensions. So we have our sights on the right issues. WEF is, of course, looking at security and cooperation. It's also looking at growth and job creation, the role of AI, and of course, climate change, all terribly important issues. And in particular, as with reference to our conversation right now, I'm sure the tensions in the Middle East will occupy center stage, and this is a point where cooperation, trade is more important than at any other point. And we will have, hopefully, WEF will discuss strategies on how collaboration could be intensified as it's particularly necessary at this point, collaboration, cooperation, and greater trade. And I think up to this point, from the reports that I've been hearing, I think our Prime Minister is doing an excellent job of showcasing the Malaysian story, and I'm quite sure he would do what is necessary to attract the right kind of investment. And I think that's absolutely essential going forward and given the difficult times we are likely to face.
Dr. Nambiar, we have a balance of less than 1 minute. Maybe you can share with us what are the best risk management strategies that can investors adapt in times of the heightened geopolitical risk. Please, Doctor.
I think the best way of handling these risks is to adopt, to the extent possible, proactive measures. And we have been going through a number of these issues. I mean, for instance, we saw with COVID that it is important to look at supply chain resilience, at the smooth flow of logistics. So I think we've learned, or we should have learned the right lessons. I think we need to put these things in place. We've also seen how these tensions could result in pressures on the simplest of things.
All right.
For instance, the price of chicken feed, chicken eggs, etc. So we've had some experience with previous issues, so I think we'd have the right risk mitigating measures.
All right, Dr. I want to say thank you very much to Dr. Shankaran Nambiar, the head of research MIER, for helping us understand about addressing the economic spillover from the Middle East tension from one of the focus within the World Economic Forum. And definitely all of our discussion here will be featured in all astroawani.com.